afternoon, everyone. My name is Adetayo, and I currently work at the Data Lab. Data Lab is Scotland's Innovation Center for Data and AI, and I manage the Aberdeen and Dundee Innovation Hubs. And I'm going to be sharing my story and journey, and hopefully you'll be able to learn from that, and I'll share tips and lessons that I have also learned through my journey. I will be I was 1 year in Aberdeen a few weeks ago, so I've sort of, walked through this journey, and it's as recent as it can be. So I hope you're able to relate to. So today I'm supposed to share strategies and insights for harnessing the opportunities, the employment opportunities around you, and I'll start with telling my story. At the time I decided I was coming to the UK, I wanted to come in and also migrate into the tech space. And I was coming to do an MBA in business analytics, and I have no background, as in zero, in the tech space. No coding, no programming, zero knowledge. But I knew I wanted a job that was going to be like an amalgamation of my business development background and the business intelligence space that I was going into. So I had decided in my head the kind of job I wanted. And for the part-time job as well, I knew that I was only going to be able to work for 20 hours as a student. I had also decided in my head that I wasn't going to do any job that wasn't going to be contributing to where I was going. And not to slight anybody, I always say, I'm not going to do any Yama job. That was how I always said it, that I won't do it. And so before I left Nigeria, I started to explore the workspace, like what's out there. I built my CV right from Nigeria. And if you go to the next slide, I wanted to share. So, as at the time before I even left Nigeria, I had started to apply for jobs in the UK. Sorry, before I even left Nigeria, I wanted to have an idea of what was in the market, do some interviews and know what it is like so that I'll start to learn from my own mistakes for when I'm ready. And before I even left Nigeria, if you see this interview, it was at September 7, 2002. I was still in Nigeria. I just put my brother's phone number on my CV, did my LinkedIn and everything. And as at September 7, I was already getting interviews in the UK. Of course, my head still, I couldn't attend the interview, I was still in Nigeria. So I'll just respond and say that I'm currently out of the country, could we reschedule the interview? And I was applying for full-time roles. As I was applying for part-time jobs, I was applying for full-time roles. The idea was that, okay, even if I now eventually get a full-time role that I wanted, and they were willing to sponsor my visa, I'll switch my MBA to part-time and take the job. So, because I had streamlined what I wanted in my head, it was easy to put myself out there. When I got to the UK, I eventually started to listen to people who tell you, you don't have what it takes, or you're not ready for that kind of job, or you don't know the terrain, so maybe you should start with graduate roles where you're starting from the scratch. And that's what I put when I started to look at the waves, when I started to listen to the voices around me that would tell you, maybe you should do the care jobs, maybe you should focus on. And that was when I started to apply for jobs that were not right for me. And thankfully, I started to get rejections. And you will get a lot of rejections. You will do hundreds of applications and get lots of rejections. And sometimes it will get to you. You will get discouraged. But I found out that a lot of things that happen around you eventually is a function of where your mind is at, what your mindset is. And it was until I started to doubt myself that the rejection started to come. And then I knew that it was time to re-strategize. So I streamlined the kind of jobs I wanted again, what I wasn't going to apply for. I told myself and gave my targets, I'll do this number of applications per day. He will be this kind of job. He will be this, he will be that. And whatever skills or whatever I find that I need from either this interview or this job, I wasn't just going to put myself and try to be everywhere at the same time. As at April, employers have started to reach out to me themselves on LinkedIn. And that's what I cropped and put out there. And when I saw that, I thought, I must have something. I must have the right skills. So why am I listening to anybody? And so I started to take my time. In July, Russian is always sending, I don't know how many of you are on the Creek platform, he's always sending all sorts of job posts and vacancies. And so when I saw the Data Lab one, actually Data Lab, the way it works is we're under the University of Edinburgh. So we're like the Innovation Center, Scotland's Innovation Center, but we're put under the Department of Science and Engineering of the University of Edinburgh. So when I saw the job post of the University of Edinburgh looking for someone to manage North East region, and I saw the job requirements, I mean, we'll be liaising with high net worth individuals, relating with public sector, I thought, this one is not for me. But something told me, what the people doing it, they don't have to yet. So even though I didn't meet all the criteria, I decided to apply for the job anyway. I thought, what's the worst that can happen? You will say no. I've gotten no a million times. And that week, I did 3 interviews, one on Wednesday, one on Thursday, one on Friday. Data Lab was on Wednesday. It was a 1-hour interview. It was very intense. And you know, after they had scheduled the interview, they sent me an email the day before and said I should prepare to talk for 5 minutes about how I think we can improve innovation in Northeast Scotland. I said, you don't know what you people have entered, and we talk. So, you know, I prepared, I did acronym and everything. It was a 1-hour interview. It was very intense. It was coming at me from all angles, and I surprised myself by how prepared I was and how passionately, and I think that was what I was answering very passionately, like, you know, I'm part of this Northeast Scotland, and I'm part of building that ecosystem. So I was very passionate about how I was responding. And I was bringing incidences from, you know, my experience as a student. And so as at July, I was still doing my MBA, was when I got the offer. That week I got those, I did 3 interviews, 1 I didn't get, I got 2 of the offers. And I told myself, okay, you are still a student. Do these people, you know, understand? My brother would say, do they understand that you're on the student visa? I said, God, maybe it's God that gave me the job, you know. And when I saw the first offer, even I was amazed at how much they were offering me. Like, do these people understand I'm new in this system? You know, we're the ones who trivialize all the skills and experience that we have. They value it. So they then asked me to send my right to work documents. I sent my passport and student visa. At that point, I expected them to say, we are sorry. But they got back to me and said that I was on a student visa. I need to get a letter from my school to say that I'm not in term time, I'm able to work full time. And as at that time, I was still term time. So I told them, you know what, can we move my start date to September 1? By that time, I would have finished all my assessments in August. Even though I wouldn't have officially completed my studies, I'll be able to work full time. And I sent that email, 2 weeks they went silent. I thought I had lost the job. So I started to focus on the second one. The second one, I thought it wouldn't be challenging enough. And they were even willing to sponsor my visa, but it just wasn't what I wanted. But I was already ready to, had limited God that it's over with that, you know, let me just settle for this. And they came back 2 weeks later and said, if I can get a letter from the school, they are fine with me starting September 1st. I was like, why are these people so nice and everything? And then I went to the school. The school refused to issue me that letter. They said it was a CAS issue. They can't issue a completion of studies until the date of my CAS. We went back and forth. I went to student support, international students, everywhere. They said they couldn't issue such letters, that I have not completed my studies until the date that I stated on my CAS. So I went back to the data lab again, and I thought, well, this was it. And they said, you know what? You start your induction, that's September 1. My boss came from Edinburgh, brought my laptop, brought everything, and said, your official start date will be 25th of September, since that's the date on your passport. You know, we have onboarded you and everything, and I knew that this was just God, so there was no need to continue to. So, what lessons have I learned? You have to define what success looks like for you. Do not let other people tell you that the only kind of jobs that you can get are care jobs or support workers or whatever. What does success look like for you? What is your definition? What are you trying to become? What are you trying to be? Define it for yourself. And once you know that this is what you want, do not listen to we call it Yoruba, we say Ariwaja, the noise of the market. Do not listen to the noise of the market. Just know that every step you take, every day, what are you doing to get you closer to what your objectives or your success point is. So if you need to get skills, if you need to do volunteering work, whatever it is, just make sure that you have a strategy to get to where you are going, and every resources is being expended towards getting to that place. Someone said that you can get anything you want if you are willing to let go of everything else for that one thing that you want. There's nothing you want that you cannot become. Another lesson I learned is that you are now in Rome. And you know what they say, when you're in Rome, you behave like a Roman. So, getting to meetings late, not responding to emails on time, those things that we're used to in Nigeria, taking people's time for granted. It doesn't work like that here. You have to be professional. You will have to understand that this is a different terrain, and you have to behave like they do. You have to be bringing value to every system that you find yourself. Believe in yourself. That's the biggest part. You already have most of what it takes. I think everything else that is external, outside of you, is very minimal. You know what they say about icebergs, that there's more underneath than what you see on top. So most of what you need, you already have it inside. So the remaining tip is just very small, and those are things that you can acquire. So 80% of what you need is already inside of you. You have to be proactive. We come from a part of the world, and the way we've been raised is that you should let things come to you. Don't talk about your successes. Don't be boastful. It doesn't work like that here. You have to be proactive. You have to talk about the things that you have done, your achievements. You have to be out there, ready to talk about yourself. It's something that I am still learning, especially when I go to events. I expect you to walk up to people and just strike up conversations and then start to talk about, oh, this is what I've done. It is still very uncomfortable for me, but that is what works here. And so that's what I've started to learn. So you have to be proactive. You have to be ready to continue to put yourself out there. You have to maintain resilience. There are times, and there were times I would just be crying, like, Jesus, what am I doing here? I mean, I was doing well in Nigeria, so to say, and I gave all of that up, and I'll just be crying. And sometimes you would think, oh, I've got this lockdown, and you will get a no. It would break your spirit, but you have to be able to encourage yourself and keep putting yourself out there. Be versatile. I can't overemphasize it. You have to know a little bit about everything. It is just how it goes. So don't say that because I am studying engineering, I'm an engineer, I don't need to understand what's happening in the business space or what's happening in data and AI. You are shooting yourself in the leg if you do that. You have to be versatile. So listen to the news. You have to know what is going on in Israel and Palestine at the moment, because a lot of conversations around networking meetings will talk about those things, and you don't want to come off. Look, we have to be honest. There's already a stereotype about Africans that we're not people who seek knowledge, and so you don't want to feed into that stereotype. So when people are talking about something, you want to have something intelligent to contribute. So you have to be versatile. I can't talk about that enough. Those are the lessons I've learned, and to make it as practical as it's not moving again, no? Oh, okay. So, where do you go from here? Broshim has asked me to make this as practical as possible. What's the next thing you have to revamp and tailor your CV? I have like 15 CVs. Same work experience as the same places I've worked, but I have to, So I have CVs that I used for part-time roles. I have CVs that I use, and because I was determined I wasn't going to do anything that wasn't in the regular office setting. So I had CV for administrative roles, CV for customer service roles, CV for sales executives. Then I had the CVs for my full-time job that had all my information. And then so I had the generic ones, and then I would then tailor it for each application. So I'll run us through the basics. So you would have the basic ones. You have about 6 or 7. Then you'll start to tailor each of those ones depending on the kind of job that you're applying for. LinkedIn optimization. I have met people who do not even have a LinkedIn profile. And I'm thinking, are you looking for a job? But I will be quiet and say, okay, maybe God will help you and mind my business. But in this terrain, it's almost impossible. Because even after you submit your CV, they go and look at your LinkedIn profile. You'll just be seeing 10 people checked you out. You don't know who is checking you out. But there are some places where you've applied for jobs and they are checking your LinkedIn profile to validate you and validate those experiences that you have put. So you cannot not have a LinkedIn profile. It doesn't work like that in this terrain. And it also helps you to, we'll talk about LinkedIn. You have to build a profile everywhere. Read your Career Connect, Target Connect, all those employing agencies and websites. You have to build a profile everywhere. Have a profile. Like I said, continue to put yourself out there. You have to prepare ahead. You always have to be ready. You always have to be ready at every point in time. So it's part of being versatile. Network, sister. Dr. Lolia already talked about networking. Reskill, upskill, retrain. So there are some, if I want to become a medical doctor today, I don't have the basics, so I have to retrain, go and get a degree and start, If what you want to do is, don't say you can't do it, but if it's in that area, then you know that, I need to retrain in this area and get the necessary training. If I need to reskill, maybe I need to then start. I had to learn, and I used complaints to brushing with lots then. I had to learn Python with zero knowledge of tech. I used to complain a lot. And R was, and I'll message him and say, do you know anybody that can walk me through this? Because I was doing data analytics. So I learned SQL. I had to take all those trainings. And Creed was very helpful. They did some of those trainings for us free of charge. There are millions of YouTube videos that you can watch. I had to take Microsoft certification in data analysis. It wasn't easy, but I learned. I still don't like it, but at least now I know it. You have to build the right relationships. Volunteer, learn the terrain. Sometimes the volunteer roles is just for you to learn how things work in this area. So learn the terrain. Celebrate your small wins. You attended an event. You were called. You were given a certificate for mentoring somebody. Please celebrate it all over. LinkedIn, everywhere. Let everybody know that you achieved this thing. Find mentors. Where necessary, find mentors. Go with God. You need God, as always. You always need God, and pay it forward. We can't say that enough. I have been giving so much. Creed has been very helpful. FOL has been very helpful, and I intend to pay it forward so that the next person too can pay it forward, and that's how we extend our reach. So, how to build your CV? I'm sure there are several.
Sorry. Just one point I wanted to add there. How many of us are on Facebook who are students here? How many of us are on Facebook? Okay. The reason I asked that question, as she rightly said, on LinkedIn, we do check a lot in terms of what you are doing, and we also use that to identify your interest, which is what you said, talking about certain things that are going on in the world today, as well as maybe you want to be in the AI space. What are you posting on those platforms? They use that to check on your character, your attitude, what is of interest to you. You may have those qualifications and everything, but you still lose the job because there is conflicting information between what you post on Facebook and what is on LinkedIn and who you are on your CV. So please think about that.
So, the basic thing on your CV, we are used to putting a lot of unnecessary information on our CVs in Nigeria, but here they are looking out for basically your work experience that speaks to you having the technical skills, the soft skills that you have, and then that you will be a good, they call it a good culture fit. So all of those things, and you have just 1 or 2 pages of your CV to communicate all of that information. So there's a way they expect your CV to look. And you have to have, apart from your address, and you have to show your skills. And you have to be able to show how your job experience, from where you have gotten those skills. So I can say I'm very proficient in something, how I'll prove it, So my job experience should be able to show that, okay, this particular skill, I got it from when I was working here, and I had to do this. I don't have time to run through this here, and I'm sure somebody else would still talk about how to do your CV. Now, the most important thing is how to answer interview questions, which I've put there. Now, the interview questions usually come in 3 parts. The first one, which is the trickiest, is to tell me about yourself. And that's the one that kills a lot of people because we tend to ramble and talk about a lot of unnecessary things. And one thing I've noticed about Oyibo people is they don't interrupt you. They will be looking at you, talk for 1 hour, and they'll be saying, right, brilliant. You think you are saying the right thing, but you're actually saying rubbish. So you have to already have your thoughts streamlined. So when they tell you to tell me about yourself, and that's what you see that acronym SEED. You first tell them about your skills and your qualities, your experience, which would include your educational qualifications, your achievements, and the type of person that you are. The type of person, because they want to always know that you're going to be a cultural fit, you're going to fit seamlessly into their team. They're very big on that. It's not enough that you have all the technical skill. If you're going to be a troublesome employee, they don't have the time or the money to waste on you. So all of that is very important. So when they tell you to tell them about yourself, it helps you to streamline your thoughts in seats. So you go with, I am this person, I have worked in this place, I have these skills, I'm a business intelligence professional, I have done this, You talk about your achievements. I am a person passionate about knowledge, I love to read, I'm very this, I'm very that. So if you are able to streamline your thoughts around this seat, you then tend not to ramble. You're able to keep it within 5 minutes and you're able to communicate all the important information. When it comes to answering interview questions, you use the STAR method. These days, they help you, they will tell you, tell us about a situation where you, so, I mean, that tells you, first you describe the situation, what you had to do, but sometimes you don't get that prodding. They just ask you a question, and you don't want to ramble. So you have to be able to streamline your thoughts about all of those situations. I remember when I was doing my interview at Data Lab, they asked me, and I had never been in that situation before. So I was truthful. I said I have never been in that situation. But if that were to happen, I would assume that this is how I would handle it because of how I've handled similar incidences and because of the way I am. So you should then be able to describe the situation, what you are expected to do in that situation, what actions you took, and what results you got, and that's what STAR is. For LinkedIn optimization, Rachel said my time is up, but you have to, like I said, you have to have a LinkedIn profile. And to optimize your LinkedIn, first things first, a lot of people put word images on their LinkedIn is a professional. It is not Facebook or Instagram. It has to be like a passport picture that shows your face because they have to be able to trust you. Do you trust somebody that you don't see? You don't even know if that's a robot or a machine that is handling that profile. So your face has to be there. You have to utilize, so LinkedIn has this cover photo now that you can do a lot with. It's supposed to show your areas of interest, show what you do. It gives you an opportunity. You can design that on Canva and then put it on LinkedIn. You have to be smart about your profile headline. Now you see, sometimes you see that you appeared in some number of searches. It's because of your headlines, all those keywords that you use. So when they're searching for business development managers in Aberdeen, your profile comes up to the recruiter. So you have to be very particular about those keywords. And it's not static. You change it periodically. So you always have to look at your LinkedIn analytics, and there's a way you can check your analytics. Check out who is looking at your profile, how many searches you are coming up in. So that gives you an idea that it's time to rejig my LinkedIn. So when you see that the numbers are dropping or the analytics doesn't look like what you want it to look like, it's time to rejig your LinkedIn profile. You have an about section that you're supposed to, so the way the about section works is like the first paragraph is what attracts whoever then wants to see more. That first paragraph, you utilize it in such a way that somebody wants to read more about you. And you don't, it's almost like when you're describing yourself or telling me about yourself. So it's that same format, what you have done, what you have achieved, companies that you have, and what you are all about. I help businesses, I support businesses to grow or do this. So that should not be more than 265 words. Fill out all your work experience. LinkedIn optimization is just about letting your LinkedIn profile tell people what you can do, what you have done, and what you are all about. It's succinctly, you have to be able to do it succinctly. So you have to fill up all the places about work experience. You have volunteered, you have done something laudable. Please put it on your LinkedIn profile. Show off your education and skills. Edit your profile URL. So that it's easy for people to find you. So just you find it on your settings, just put your name so that once somebody is searching you out on LinkedIn, it's easy to find you. Avoid overused buzzwords. People like to say that I am an exceptional, by whose standards or whose definitions? You're the one calling yourself that, and everybody is saying that about themselves. So use words that are very tailored to you, but still convey what you're trying to say. Start writing, sharing, and engaging. I don't like, in fact, Rochelle will tell me, Sister Adetayo, you have done this, put it on your LinkedIn. I'm saying, I don't know how to do that, but you have to. Like I said, you are in Rome now, so behave like a Roman. I hope that with this